If you have ever thought about starting your own business, then there's one thing that you need to know, and that is you gotta figure out your core product, man. There's a lot of successful people that I've met that have made a lot of money. They make almost all of their money via like one stream, one like revenue stream. Then they lose a lot of money in a whole bunch of other ways because the revenue stream, maybe it makes good profit, maybe it's okay, but they feel like there's other stuff they should be doing. And so they end up like overcomplicating their lives, and they end up losing a ton of money on the things that aren't their core, and they lose a lot of time and energy. And the thing is that if you just focused on the core, you would end up having a much more successful business. Getting that core figured out is like the most important thing you can do when starting your company. Everything else is just cream cheese. That'll make more sense in a second, but first, welcome back to the Security Bros. I am Ken, this is James, and who thinks about starting their own business? Yeah, a lot of people do, maybe almost everybody. And a lot of times when I ask what business would you start, the answer I get is some type of service. Imagine that somebody loves the outdoors. They love fitness, they love dogs, and they're thinking, well, gosh, I like being outside. I like having fitness.
Dog walker.
They might be thinking, can I make money being a dog walker? They absolutely can. I met somebody from Brazil. She started a cleaning company. Her clientele is people with like $1 million homes. She can probably sell that business for a lot of money now. You know, people with those homes, they have more money than they have time. And so if she were to sell it to another company, the people with those homes don't care that somebody else is showing up to clean the homes. They just care that somebody is showing up to clean the homes. The question is, why don't people start these companies that they fantasize about? And I think it's because, quite frankly, they have no clue where to start. You can't start if you don't know where, and businesses have a lot of different pieces that all have to function together, and you can't set those all up at the same time, but in order for it to work, they all have to be in place kind of at the same time, which makes it a kind of complicated thing to get going, and people don't really know what direction they're supposed to head in. Which then brings me back to this concept of the core product. If I could go back in time and give myself two pieces of advice when I first started this company, the first thing I would say is buy Bitcoin while it's still only $100. The second thing I would say is you got to figure out your core product. And you might not know that on day one. You may have just like a general idea, like I want to start a company that does this. Like I started a security systems company, but that's a very big industry with a lot of different things you can sell. Figuring out the core, like this is going to be my core product and I'm going to sell it to these specific type of clients. Like that is what I'm going to do. If I could have known that when I first started, it would have eliminated a lot of suffering for me. And it also would have made me a lot more money a lot sooner. So a lot of people suffer needlessly because they don't understand that they need to find the core and then focus on that. One great example of a company that does the core really well. It's a bagel shop near here. It's called Sam's Bagels. And not surprisingly, the main thing they sell is bagels. They actually sell bagels and coffee. And so I'll go there like once a week and everybody walking in is getting a bagel and coffee. That may sound really simple. It's actually more difficult than you might think because you say like, okay, you're gonna sell coffee, but how are you gonna handle the coffee? With them, the way they solved the coffee part of that is they don't make you these handcrafted coffees. Like when I'm in Europe, it takes them several minutes to make every single coffee. At Sam's Bagels, they've shaved off all that time. And if you think about the amount of time that they've saved, all they do is hand you the cup and then you go fill it up yourself. Because the customer fills up the cup themselves, the person at the counter doesn't have to spend 2-4 minutes to make these cups of coffee. And if you think, well, if you have 100 customers a day, and it takes you 2 or 4 minutes, I mean, that's 200 to 400 minutes a day. That's hours a day. And that could all be profit for you, or more time that you could serve more customers. Then the question becomes, what about the bagels? How many flavor bagels are we gonna have? Are we gonna have cream cheese in the bagel? You know? And to me, there's some things in the company that function like the cream cheese and the bagel. Because while nobody wakes up thinking I want cream cheese and coffee, when they go to buy the bagel, they do want it with the cream cheese. In our business, we had to figure out what our core product would be, and we came up with something called the Core 4. Most customers want some combination of these 4 devices. And so what we figured out is how to limit everything as much as we could, and the smallest we could come up with was these Core 4 devices. The thing is that one of those devices has been just a pain in our butt for years and years. You would think you should be able to figure out your core product like very quickly. And I wish we could. We actually have the 3 of those Core 4. We had figured those out very quickly, and it makes them really easy to sell. But we have one device that has just been a thorn in our side. Those are video intercoms. They all have some kind of issue. It could be with price, reliability. The question that I've asked myself is, can I just not bother selling that product? Is that a distraction? The problem is that it's what I call the cream cheese of our Core 4. People come to us for key card access all throughout their building, but they still need a directory intercom like outside the main door to let visitors and like package deliveries in the building. It's this one device. They don't need it all throughout the building. They just need it at this one location usually. They kind of need it as part of their larger system. It's the cream cheese. They aren't coming to us for this one thing necessarily, but they kind of need it as part of their whole security thing. You don't have to feel stupid if you're trying to set up your core product and you're like, gosh, this is actually more difficult, because guess what? We've had a lot of difficulty ourselves in setting that up. But the thing is that the closer we've gotten and the more we've focused on having a core product, the business has gotten significantly easier and easier to run. And it's made us more higher profit margins. Our days feel a lot easier. The sales are way easier to make, and you sometimes wonder, did I miss something somewhere? Did I find a cheat code accidentally? And the thing is, if you know you need a core product and you're able to focus and you actually get that, and you solve all the problems that are related to it, then money will feel a lot easier for you in your business. Tell them all the problems we've had with getting this intercom up and going.
It's been over a 10-year process. You know, like you said, we nailed down the 3 core products without really much of an issue, but the intercoms, yeah, we started with kind of like no-name brand devices and tried those out, but didn't really have a whole lot of success.
What was the problem with them?
So
they were cheap, didn't work very well.
Yeah, they were cheap, didn't really work very well. You couldn't remotely manage them and stuff like that, which in the very beginning, we actually didn't even know that was some of the features that we needed. So there is a learning curve to it as well. But then, you know, we tried some of the name brands. They were just cheap and flimsy. Some were just really expensive, and popular, but outdated and not very user-friendly. So on to the next one.
Well, there's some things too. Sorry to jump in here.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I remember early on we had this project where there was a developer developing they're doing a construction project, and they wanted a very economical intercom. So I'm like, okay, well, we install security systems, we install intercoms. Well, let me see what I can find you. And so I found them a very economical intercom that supposedly would work on their building. So we put it in, and then it ended up being really cheap, kind of creaky, plasticky thing. Yep. And I really wish we hadn't sold it, because it's not like we made much money on it. We had nothing to gain from that sale. Kind of like from a branding perspective, reflect poorly on us. Right. So I said, I'll never sell this thing again. Okay, so we're moving on now. At what point did we get to cloud? We get to cloud-based.
One of the really big cloud-based intercom companies, there was an opportunity to try the product and install it with one of the developers, and we actually were, pretty happy with it. The problem is as these companies grow, the product just becomes more and more and more and more expensive. We ran into some reliability issues. That goes back to reflecting on our brand.
Well, some of these, they're expensive. People will pay if it solves their problem. They may not like it, but they'll still pay for it. And so a lot of customers have bought these cloud-based ones from us because currently they may be the best thing that we have to offer. I would like something that is a little bit better at a better price, but that's what we have, so that's what we provide. The problem isn't their features. The problem isn't that we can't get to it remotely, because we can. Right. The problem isn't the quality of the construct. It's not creaky like the first thing we tried. It's high quality. It calls a mobile app on, let's say it's an office and you work in the office, it'll call a mobile app on your phone. You can speak to the visitor remotely. You can buzz them in if you want.
Two-way video.
Yeah, the big problems with these, yes, is price, but that's not the biggest issue. I think the biggest issue with these is the fact that they run into a lot of glitch when it comes to anything network related, and they need to be rebooted a lot.
Yep.
Too many of these need to, it's not like every single one needs to be replaced, but let's say we install,
the frequency is too high.
20 of them. There's several in there that will need to be replaced pretty quickly. And some of these companies, they may send them out for free for a replacement, but the thing is that they have to replace that often. Then when they do run out of warranty, then is the customer gonna have to replace it again? It's a reliability issue, and I don't like it for the price of the unit. For the price of the unit, it should be nice and smooth for a long time. That's the problem we're currently trying to solve. Now we do have another one.
We do.
Fingers crossed, maybe we've roughly found the solution. Every single one comes with some aspect that we don't like. This new one, it solves the price issue. It may solve the reliability issue. We will see, that's what we're waiting on.
Fingers crossed.
What it doesn't solve now, we've actually gone backwards a bit in terms of we don't like the way that we have to enter users. We feel from a software back-end perspective, it's not great. It's not great for us. It's maybe fine for the customer, but less fine for us. But from a business standpoint, it's actually solved a lot of problems. With these other intercoms, they were like, you can't buy them through a distributor. So most of our parts we can buy from a distributor. So we'll go to like one and we can buy our cabling and our electric locks and all kinds of parts all like in one group. But if we want this one intercom, we have to go to that company and we can just buy this one unit. But to buy that one unit, we can't buy it online. We have to send them a request via email. Then they send us a form we have to fill out. Then they send a quote back. And then we have to like sign the quote. And it's like this back and forth of usually like 10, 15 emails. We finally get this unit. Some of these places, they only take like PayPal or Venmo and you can't buy it online. You have to like take the payment receipt from PayPal and then send it to them via email. It's weird for a modern company in the US. With this new intercom, we can buy it online with the rest of our stuff. I don't have to train anybody separately on how to order this like one product. They can just order it like they order everything else. Now I know you mentioned something about, well, but with this, it's not a touch screen. So people they scan a QR code and it does everything that the other ones do pretty much, but the visitor will access it by scanning a QR code. And then the touch screen becomes on their phone. And then they see the directory, they push a button, and then it activates this unit, the video audio device on the unit, to then call the person's mobile phone. So basically, it's the same thing as these other devices. We've just moved the touchscreen from the device onto the visitor's cell phone. For some fancy, say, apartments, they're going to want the touchscreen. So James's concern was, will we then lose on sales because of the touchscreen? Would I like to have those sales? Yeah, but I don't really want to go out of my way to try to get those sales. Like I don't want to sell this touchscreen thing that causes me problems just to not miss out on an occasional sale. and I would never have said this if I didn't have to go through the pain of all of that in the past. By being too distracted, selling too many different things, and then feeling all of the crap that came on top of me for having done that, I've now learned my lesson, and I can say I would rather have this core product bundle that we sell. Like you can buy, security cameras, you can buy key fob access, you can have this intercom, and any alarm sensors. That's what we sell. If there's somebody where that's not a good fit for them, that's fine. There's like $1 billion worth of other clients that do want this exact thing we sell. So I don't have to worry about missing out on these other sales. I think you have to go through a lot of suffering in your business where you've learned that it's okay to miss out on that stuff because my life is going to significantly improve. As we've gotten more focused in the company, several things have improved in our company. One is we've been able to get more customers around an isolated service area, which means that you are no longer like out of town 80% of the year, just like bouncing around. When you think about this, we want to sell these products to these type of clients in this service area. We got like real focused and we just started saying no to other things. As we did that, your life got a lot better because now you get to be home in the evenings and on weekends. We used to pull all-nighters all the time, out of town, on weekends. That used to be the way our life was. We sold everything to everybody.
Yep.
You actually, you meet this nice girl, you got to spend more time with her and actually, build a relationship, and then you guys get married. I'm not saying that specifically because of the changes we made, but I think that does help a lot, even in like relationships. So it's kind of funny the ways that doing this has improved the business, has improved our personal life, has improved like profit margin. We don't have to burn ourselves out quite to the same degree just to try to make just enough money to get by every month. If I'm pushing myself a lot, it's so that we can make the business even better, not just to get by, where the water's like up to your chin. that happens by saying, I am going to focus on some core thing, and I'm going to solve all the problems that have to do with moving this core thing. And
it makes work, like the work for employees, so much easier too, from everything from all your office personnel to your people in the field. If you have a core set of products that you work with, because every other company I've worked with has like a million different things that they sell. So you always have a stack of manuals out because you're trying to figure out, oh, how does this thing work? Or the salespeople are throwing it's just confusion everywhere because everyone's just always trying to like, just kind of like keep up with the myriad of things that they're selling. Well, this product needs to come with this thing and this thing and this thing. And it's like, oh, well, I thought it was this product.
Yeah, it's just so stressful. And when
if you only have a couple things, it's like, oh, people are like, why? What's the magic? The magic is everyone gets together and like knows this core set of stuff really well. Yeah. So it just makes it look like your magic. It's just, no, we just cut out all the bullshit.
Well, we have one of our best customers. He keeps saying this, like, well, I wish you guys would hire electricians and all the other trades because I love the way you guys run business. And it's like, well, if we had all those other people, it wouldn't be the same business.
Yep.
One of the things that a lot of other security companies, even security companies that are bigger than ours, but they run like they're a crazy house. Let's say they have a chance at a big client, and that client says, well, if you sell us DSC, then you can be our vendor. And they're like, well, we don't want to miss out on that. Well, it's very tempting because maybe you can make a bunch of money selling this, they're like, we have this at all of our locations. We need you to be able to service and install it and upgrade it and expand it as we need. The downside is that now forever they have to have technicians that understand DSC. And if they've installed DMP, they have to have people that know DMP. And if they have a DEMCO, now they have to know a DEMCO. As technicians leave, now they're scrambling to either like cross-train technicians or find another technician. And one of the qualifications is you have to know this product that like nobody else knows. Because what will happen is like one technician, if they know this product pretty good, they'll end up being like tech support to all the other technicians that are working on it and like vice versa. And so the whole thing just ends up being like winging it, flying by the seat of your pants 24/7. And that makes it really hard to grow. There's one company that I think did it really well in our industry. Anybody, if you ask ADT in the US, they'll all tell you alarm systems.
Yep.
Now, it's not that they haven't over time dabbled in security cameras and other things. It's not even that they haven't tried to buy commercial security companies because they're mostly residential, but they've bought these other companies, they've tried it. And then, what they end up doing, they end up selling off those sections of their company that do like commercial fire alarm or something. Because as it turns out, they were able to, like for the longest time, they did just alarm systems. And then they became like the biggest alarm system installer in the US. It is definitely possible to pick something small, even if you're like, I just do alarm, and just scale the crap out of that. The sooner you do that, the sooner then you'll be able to solve all the problems that are related to that thing. And so one of the things we're working on right now with our website is building out a new pricing page. We have a pricing page. It was kind of nice, gave customers an idea, but actually building out a much more specific pricing where customers can say like, yeah, I want to buy that package. The ability for them to be able to do that and for us to potentially make sales online, which by the way, like no other commercial security company does this. This is kind of huge. I mean, nobody else even had a pricing like tool to begin with that I could see. Like
always hidden.
We kind of pioneered that. It can be a little complicated because do they want a key fob for the elevator? They want a key fob for the front door. So how do you build that out into a pricing thing? We're trying. The beautiful thing about that and saying like, we're only gonna sell this stuff is that you actually can produce pricing for it and then you can advertise directly to it and then just crank out sales related to this one thing.
Yep.
So that's what we're working on right now. We never could have done this before because we were way too spread out with the things that we did. But now that we can actually advertise directly for what we're trying to do. It means that we can scale. If you like unlimited scale, then why don't you go ahead and like this video so we know and share it so your friends know.
Bye.